Good morning, friends. We have an amazing break in the weather today in Alabama. So I thought I would invite you to come hang out with me for just a few minutes while I clean and organize my greenhouse. Also, I wanted to share with you a few things that I did to improve this Amazon Kit greenhouse to level it up just a little bit more. So let's go get started. In today's video, I'm going to be doing some organizing and cleaning out of this greenhouse. If you're new here, my name is Hope, and this is my Southern Area Life where I share my love of DIY projects, gardening, chickens, and of course thrifting and estate sales, my two favorite things. We built this greenhouse back in March. It was early March actually of this year, 2026. It immediately became a catch-all. We had other projects going on the property and in the backyard, so we would just fling the doors open, throw everything in, and walk away. I also brought things that were in our garage that I would use in the backyard or in our gardening projects, and I brought them in here with the intention of everything being nice and tidy, and it is not that. As you can see, it is quite the mess. After we built this greenhouse in March of this year, 2026, it immediately became a catch-all, and it has turned into really more of a storage shed than a greenhouse. So I do have plans to actually grow some things in here, hopefully this winter. I want to start learning how to do microgreens, do some seed starting, maybe even some winter vegetables like lettuces, hopefully. We'll see how all that plays out. And I also want it to be a space where I can just come and kind of get alone and maybe drink some tea or coffee, read a book, or just escape for a few minutes from the world and everything that's going on. So for that to happen, it has to be pretty. So that is leading me to this clean out today and this organizing. I have some ideas for storage. Had I known back then when we built this that I was going to start a YouTube channel, I would have filmed the entire process of the construction of this greenhouse. So I'm sorry I don't have much footage of that to show you. However, it is a kit that I got from Amazon. I think I spent maybe about $1,200 on it. It's a 10 by 12. I do wish I had a larger one, maybe a 16 by 12 maybe, because this space has quickly closed in on me and I'm outgrowing it because there's so much clutter in here. So I do wish I had gotten a bigger one. We're in a neighborhood, so I don't have a whole lot of space at this point in time for a much larger greenhouse, so this one is just going to have to do. So after it was constructed, I did go back with a storm coat paint and paint the interior and the exterior black just to give it some extra protection against the weather, because we are in the deep south, so it is very hot here, and we do occasionally get down into the 20s and 30s in the winter. So I wanted it to be able to withstand the weather changes here in the south. Another thing I did was take a silicone caulk and go around on the inside of the greenhouse and the outside every window panel you see. I did not want it to leak. I wanted it to be as weatherproof as possible. So that took a little bit of time to do that, and it worked out really well. I did that as we were putting the panels, the roof panels in place. One panel would go in and I would caulk it and then put the next panel. So it was like a little bit of a process there. And I'm so glad I did that. Another thing we did that I'm so thankful for is that we added a load-bearing beam down the ridge of the roof line just to give it some extra support, because after we had constructed the whole thing, it appeared that the roof was sagging just a bit in the center, which was alarming. So we ended up installing a couple of 2x4s on either end of the building so that they would help support that beam and push the roof back up. So like I said, it is an Amazon kit, so do your research. I would do further research next time if I ever buy another one from Amazon. And I'm not trying to complain. I'm happy with it enough for my needs, but out in the future, I would love to have a legitimate, just beautiful European greenhouse. So this was a very simple kit, and I did some embellishing to actually give it some character. I love seeing the greenhouses and the tool sheds that have this beautiful ridge plate, this decorative ridge plate down the roof line. It's just so beautiful. Obviously this greenhouse did not come with that, but I had to get a little bit creative, and I just happened to find these metal flower bed fences on clearance at Lowe's one day. I wasn't looking for that, but I saw them and I thought, I wonder if we could install those on the roof. And so that's what we did, and it worked out beautifully. Now, albeit you can't really see it against that dark cherry tree, but it is there, and in the winter it does show up, and it just adds a little bit more character to this greenhouse. This greenhouse has a set of French doors on the front. It also has 4 sets of windows. Well, I say sets, 4 individual windows, 2 on each end of the greenhouse that open up to let air flow through. It does not have the roof panels that you pop up to let heat out. That's another thing I wish this one had, was just to have that roof vent, I guess you would call it, to let some heat escape, because you know heat rises. So it would just be nice to have that. But I do have the 4 windows, and I really enjoy having them open, and you can feel the breeze really comes through this greenhouse, and it feels great. Now I needed to add some character to this greenhouse. So one of the things I did was to add this diamond trim to the front doors. I found this trim at Lowe's. It was an 8-foot piece, was right at $5. So it was pretty affordable. And it took me several days to get this pattern worked out, but I absolutely love the look of these doors now. And I am playing around with the idea of doing that to the 4 windows as well, or maybe to the panel that is above the windows, just to add some more character from either end of the greenhouse. When you're standing outside and you can see it from one end or the other, I want to see character all the way around. Another issue this greenhouse had was that these bottom panels, those are actually 2 slats of wood that you slide into a groove, and where the 2 slats would meet, it left a crack which would allow cold air in during the winter. So I took batten strips and cut them and used a liquid nails, I believe is what I used, to hold those in place, just to cover up those cracks and keep out the winter air in case I do have plants in here in the winter. I did this on the outside and the inside of the greenhouse. And now here it is finished. I did get the cleaning done and a little bit of organizing in preparation for the other ideas that I have coming up, including something to hide all of this. This is just garden soils and amendments and potting soil, and then there's that stack of nursery pots that I've been collecting. So, and you can see some of my thrift store and estate sale finds up there on that shelf. So it looks a lot better. I'm very happy with it. I feel like I have some breathing room in here now and room to be creative. So I thank you so much for hanging out with me. And if you want to see the ideas that I have coming up, the next one I'm going to be tackling is this situation here. That is unacceptable to see all of that clutter. So I have some ideas there. But I appreciate you hanging out with me, and I hope to see you again on the next one.